Here we go, Al Gates. It's a little awkward this week because it's back to just you and me. We don't have Christopher Wall taking up part of the screen here this week.
We don't have anybody to blame anything on.
Exactly. We have a big discussion here tonight, and we're going to be talking about kicking and how important it is to learn the kicking mechanics for the 5, 6, and 7-man positioning. I was enjoying my new couch tonight, Gates. We ordered a new couch back in January, and it finally showed up now. But I was enjoying the couch, and my wife kicked me off the couch tonight. So I got to see it kick
Smart
off
lady.
live in 2021. So here we are doing this podcast tonight.
Yeah. Well, the neat thing about Canadian football, and there's thousands of things that are neat about it, is on Team A, all the motion that's available for receivers and backs as compared to the game south of the border, and the importance of the kicking game in Canada.
Yeah.
That any kicking play is a potential scoring play.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Especially with the size of our field, anything can happen on a kicking play. And we've talked about this for years, whether it's a high school game, a minor game, an AUS game. When they're lining up to punt, don't think in Canadian football they're just punting for field position, because they're not.
No.
It is a potential, and you better be on your toes, because if you're going to get burned as an official, it's on a kicking play, right, Al?
Yeah, exactly. Expect the unexpected.
There you go. Before we get into kicking, did anything come up last week for questions, anything like that?
Yeah, there were a couple of things that came up. One's related to a question. We sort of touched on it last week with Chris. But one thing that came up, and we talked almost every night about the hold official and the moving official. And we talked about when the ball's being scrimmaged on one hash mark or the other, it's pretty cut and dry.
Yeah.
But when the ball's being scrimmaged in the center of the field, who's the held or the hold official and who's the moving official? And it's going to be one of the deep officials that's going to make that decision based on their concept of what the next play might be. And they need to indicate to one of the side guys early so that they can get themselves set. And it's based upon how close they are, the hash marks are on, and what the back umpire thinks might happen in the 5-man crew. And that decision needs to be made quickly. And it's simply a mechanic that we use, a signal we use to our side guys on who's free and who's held. And it's not just in the 5-man, it's all the way up to 7, because there's situations where in 7-man, the side guys may be a hold or a move official.
Right.
I know you talked about it, and I know Chris talked about it, the concept about read and react. And sometimes when you hear that term read and react, there may be the concept that, well, I've got time. Well, you don't. Read and react actually has to start taking place in your your pre-snap routine.
Yes.
What do I expect to come? And then once the ball's snapped, you're ready to go and have a little bit of maybe a guess of what might be coming. So going back to one of the questions we got a while ago about the sticks and what we should be doing. Anything that affects the sticks needs to be part of the pregame meeting. Now, that doesn't need to be generated by the referee, but it needs to be generated by the downs judge and the umpire, the downs judge, and whoever else it happens to be. And then when they go out on the field in their meeting with the stick crew out there, that stuff should be all covered in the pregame stuff. And it includes everything from measurements, quarter change, what we're doing at halftime, how we're dealing with kickoffs, or like we talked about with the converters, short yardage plays. What are we doing with those guys?
Right.
Last and not least, and I allude to our game at St. Mary's about the perception that goes, or the optics that go with officials, and how you look, how you cover plays, how you get to deal with your responsibilities, and your body language goes a long way to telling people who are at the game what your interest is in the game. And people read that very quickly from the time you arrive. And hustling and getting to the spot and being prepared for your play and your responsibility go a long way in allowing you to do a better job. And I can't remember if it was one of my basketball mentors or one of my football mentors said, if you are where you need to be, it's easier to sell a tough call than if you're not where you're supposed to be and trying to sell the easy call.
Yes.
So get to where you need to be, know your responsibilities, and look like the official.
Al, I'm just going to ask you one little question here because every white has a little bit different way of how they handle things.
Yeah.
How do you like the communication go between you and the downs judge as far as at the end of the play moving, changing the downs box if it needs to be changed? Like, how does that communication work between you and the downs judge?
I learned this from the referee that I had in the Vanier that I worked, is that he told the head linesman, which was me at the time, the sticks are yours. Okay, I'm going to communicate with you very quickly. I'm going to look over just to confirm what the down is. I'll agree with you, then you can flip it once there's agreement. As far as measurements and whatnot, that's going to be based on me calling them in.
Right.
But it's more of a quick little communication. I turn and look out because I'm such a broad-minded person. I forget a lot. And I'll take a look out and confirm with the downs judge what the down is. I'll agree. We'll flip the down to the next one if that's the case, and away we go.
Yeah, I'm the same way. My favorite downs judge, and whether working as a white hat, is when I look over and he's already got 2.
Yeah.
He's got 3. As soon as I see the 2, I confirm the 2. He can do his thing. I can do my thing. I don't want to be, it's second down. He confirms second. And, you show me, I'll confirm. Let's go. And it's quick. It's smooth. That's my favorite downs. When I look over and he's already got the signal in the air, that's fantastic to me.
Exactly. And one of the things I say when I do a lot of the training sessions is that we're all responsible for keeping track of what the down is. The down judge is the guy that plays with the sticks and whatnot, and that's probably a big part of his responsibility. So all I want to do, like you say, is a quick look out. I get the signal from him, and then I confirm it to whoever I'm confirming it to, and away we go. And if somebody on the crew notes that, whoa, this doesn't look right, I don't care if it's your first game or your 1000th game. You come in and we get it right. So if we missed a down, or we added it down or whatever, which are things that shouldn't happen, the crew should pick up on that.
There you go. All right, Al, let's, you ready to get into the kicking game? We got lots to cover here tonight.
We do.
All right, so let's, we're going to start off. I got a little presentation here tonight. It's a little bit different than weeks past, but here we go. We are going to start off with the 5 crew kicking mechanics. And you put these slides together, so why don't you start walking us through them?
Okay, so the only people that I have on the team B side, the return side, are just the 2 returners.
Right.
Everybody on the offense is matched up. I don't have receivers and whatnot on the punt situation, but just to give us an idea where people are lining up. So in the 5 crew kicking, the referee's going to kick off. The referee's going to line up on the kicking line. The line judge and the down judge are going to line up on the restraining line, 10 yards from where the ball's being kicked. And then we take our next 2 guys, the umpire and the back umpire, and put them down roughly in line with the returners in a kickoff. So we're all set up there. On the kickoff, the referee is responsible once the ball's been kicked. If it's been kicked downfield, I'm going to slide in and cover the play from the referee's going to slide in and cover the play from behind. The umpire and the back umpire are responsible for the deep receivers. If it's close to your sideline, you're going to take the ball. Again, this is a communication between the back umpire and the umpire. So the back umpire is a deep official. He's going to make the decision on who is going to be ball responsible. And again, it's a simple mechanic. If you're ball responsible, your hand goes straight up. If you are responsible for the blocking, you put your hand out in front, indicating you've got the blocking. So that communication happens between those 2 guys down there, and it's done early. You don't wait until the ball's almost to the returners to make that decision.
Right.
And you stick with it. The down judge and the line judge both have the same responsibilities. They watch for offsides on or an illegal kickoff type of deal. And they stay close to their sideline as they move down the field, and they officiate the players as they move downfield and get ready for things to reverse and come the other way. So that's our kickoff guys.
it's interesting you talk about making that decision early, Al, and you got to live by that decision because
Exactly.
early on when I was back umpire in a 5-man crew in my first couple of years of officiating, I'd get a little excited back there and I'd always want to take the ball. And I remember I got the ball and I'd be the back umpire and the ball would be landing at the umpire's feet at the 30. And I checked off that I have the ball. You can't make a change at that point. You've got to take the ball and you've got to come in and cover as much as you can there. But, once you make that call, it's you live by it.
You live with it.
Yeah. Right.
And the reason you make it early is so that you can now take your focus off the ball.
Right.
Deep officials should never, I shouldn't say never, once the ball has been kicked and that decision has been made on who has ball, who has blocking, you shouldn't have to look at the ball again. And you can pick up very quickly based on the returners, where they're looking and where they're going to catch the ball.
Right.
And those are the people you got to worry about. So we look at the slide on the right-hand side with the punt. The referees go and line up in line or slightly behind the punter, or slightly in front of the punter. They're there to identify if there's any onside players and to cover the kicker. And then once the ball's been kicked across the line of scrimmage, they're going to proceed downfield, staying in the center of the field to officiate the play as it moves down. The umpire in 5-man is in the defensive backfield. He takes about his normal depth that he's used in all of scrimmage plays and so on. He's going to face the offensive and defensive line and watch them for their behaviors until that wave of players goes beyond them, and then they turn and get ready to cover the play as it's moving downfield and then possibly coming back. The back umpire is going to be out near the sideline on their side. They're going to line up about 5 yards in front of the receiver, or returner rather, on their side. And lining up in front of the returner allows you to set that restraining zone. Stay out close to the sideline because you want room, but that's where you're going to set yourself. Now, this is where it gets a little confusing, if you want to call it that. We now have a moving and a hold official.
Yeah.
In a 5-crew punt, the moving official is going to go down and take a position similar to the back umpire. They're going to line up out close to the sideline and about 5 or 6 yards in front of the returner on their side of the field. Same as on the kickoff, the decision's got to be made very quickly on whose ball, who's blocking. And again, as you said, you live with it. The hold official stays on the line of scrimmage, and they have to stay there until the ball crosses the line of scrimmage. Because if it doesn't cross the line of scrimmage, we don't have a kick.
Yeah.
So they stay there. Once the ball's been kicked, then they're going to turn and prep to follow downfield. The other reason they stay there is in case of those funny little plays where they might run a little leak out and throw a pass out to a player that slid out that way. So that's our general alignment. This isn't including anything that would involve a short kickoff or trick plays or anything. This is just a basic 5 crew members lining up for a kick or a punt.
Al, I got a quick question for you. So this is a white hat discussion. So for people coming up that are going to be trying white hat, as the white hat, I'm lining myself up on the center line there, parallel with the kicker, right?
Yeah. You're in the kickoff, right?
No, I'm in the punting.
That's it. Okay.
Punting slide here. There's no R here on this one here.
Yeah, I realize that now.
Yeah, I'm lining up right about here on this slide on the wide hash right here. Okay.
You might be a little wide.
Okay.
But yeah, you could use almost the outside shoulder of the
outside
end.
end. Okay.
Yeah, as a bit of a guide.
Here's what I have struggled with as a white hat on a kicking play is when an onside guy comes out and lines up on this side of the field.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to keep an eye on the kicker, but I got to make sure that my onside guy is onside when the ball's kicked. So what I found I've done in the past, tell me your thoughts on this. When I get that situation where the end's out here, I will take myself and actually drop back another couple yards and watch the play like this rather than across at the kicker. How would you handle that situation?
There's nothing wrong with that because it gives you a little bit of an angle.
Yeah.
Again, whether you're accurate, even if you're in the best position, when they kick that ball, that everything's in line because of the things you're watching. That works, as you said, just dropping back and getting a little bit better of angle. I will tell you, and I'm not sure if it's in any of the manuals anywhere, if I only have one onside player and they're going to the wide side, now this is going to create some issues for other things.
Yeah.
I have sometimes actually gone to the other side of the kicker.
Have you? Okay.
Yeah, so that I can see. It's when they put two guys back there.
Right.
I go to my normal spot and I tell coaches, I asked them before the game, I said, do you run onside guys on your punts? And if they say yes, I said, how many? If he says two, I said, are they split or on the same side? He said, if they're split, I said, I'll do my best.
Yeah.
And that's all you can do when they run them split like that.
That's right. I tell my onside guys on every kicking play, just like when I was a sideline official, if you guys are onside on the punt, give me a wave. You don't have to verbalize it. Just give me a little wave so I know you're going to be onside and I can try to keep an eye out for you.
Yeah. Right. And again, every referee is different. I found that in some games I'm more comfortable go to the opposite side. Sometimes I've stayed where I am, but also using the hint that they're not giving anything away if they're lining up on side and they tell you, because everybody on the defense knows they're on side.
Yeah.
So I just like you do. I'll tell them when they're coming out of the huddle, whatever. Just tell me, I'm on side, sir, just so that I can make myself aware of where they are. Yeah. One of the issues, and we'll talk about, I'll probably mention this again, is one of the reasons that the referee lines up on the inside or on the wide side of the field on a punt is so that he can judge where the ball's gone. So once the kicker has kicked the ball, the referee will sort of slide in behind him, especially with the ball that's kicked towards one of the sidelines, so they can get an eye on where it's gone out of bounds. So it's I guess personal preference. I don't want to say that it's right or wrong, but I think it's personal preference where you go. But if you go out of the normal positioning, you give up something. But if you stay in the normal positioning and have an onside player behind you, you give up something. So you got to balance it out.
There you go. All right, so that's your 5-man positioning charts. We're going to roll over now and watch a couple plays. So
just before you roll this, Ray, I just wanted to say something about the 5-man stuff. Unfortunately, a lot of the 5-man video that we have is sideline stuff, so you don't get a good look at where everybody is on the field. And a lot of times it's not elevated enough. This is one that you can see many of the officials. So in this kickoff, the referee is on the double line on the far side of the field. The two sideline officials are 10 yards in advance of him. One of them's by the front stick. The other guy's directly across from him. And on the far side of the field, you can see where the fourth official is lined up by the field hockey net way down the field. And his compatriot would be directly across from him.
Yeah.
So we're in our five spots. We all know where we're going. We should all know where we're going. We should all know what our responsibility is.
All right, you ready?
Yeah.
We had a nice arm wave there to roll the clock.
So here's a neat situation on this play, and it's something that we'll talk about later. It might come up in the 7, I'm not sure. This kick has come to our side of the field.
Yeah.
The official that's covering him, that circles his arm and signifies time in, has the ball.
Right.
The ball is going to end up going to the other side of the field. So at some point, generally the center of the field, that responsibility for that player will shift to the other deep official on that sideline.
Right.
So he'll pick up the ball. The other officials will then pick up the blocking.
Right. So how are you communicating to the other official? I'll tell you what I do. So I always talk with my sideline guy. If I'm taking ball, I'll yell ball too. I've got ball. if once I'm passing it off, I'm yelling you, and that's my signal to passing the ball off to the receiver
Let me ask you this.
or to the other official.
Yeah, let me ask you this. What if the team in gold, their cue between their two returners is mine, or you?
Right.
So, and again, it's what your preference and what you get used to.
Yeah.
I know times that I work deep, I will call a guy's name.
Right.
You're my deep partner. I'll be yelling Ray.
Right.
Again, that's something that you're going to talk about in your pregame meeting with your partner.
Yeah.
Are we going to do this? When are we going to switch responsibilities? So in your pregame meeting, if you're this sideline deep official and that's me on the far side, we've talked about what if the ball comes back the other way? And we've already pregame determined that when the ball gets to about center field and it continues to come towards you, you're going to pick up ball responsibility.
Right.
Just things that we cover in our pregame. Yeah.
And you can see the sideline official here who's starting at the pretty much center field.
Center field. Yeah.
Center field. As the ball's being kicked off, he's starting to move down. Not too quick though. Just he's moving at a light speed, keeping an eye on the blocking from behind.
Exactly.
And he's getting ready to slingshot to come back upfield with the ball carrier.
The ball breaks through, he's got to be ready to go. Exactly.
Yeah, and that's some of the sideline guys I see, they hustle so fast to get downfield that they are out of position in case that ball comes up. So don't go too fast downfield. Take your time going down, keep an eye on blocking, and be prepared to start backpedaling and go in the other direction.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right. All right, let's go on to, this is a punt play now. Now, it's not as clear as the other video, but we can see some positioning here as well.
Okay, so in this play, you can see that the referee, this is not a complaint.
Yeah.
But I'm going to just make it a point of reference. So I can't tell in the video where the ball is, but if the ball has not been snapped yet, the referee should still be looking towards the line of scrimmage.
Right.
Because he has blocking responsibility until the ball's snapped, and then it becomes the umpire. He probably should be back a few steps, unless he knows something about this punter, and the punter's going to take 3 or 4 steps forward, and then they're in line. So it should be back a bit. And again, I can't tell where the ball is on the snap and looking towards the line pre-snap. The umpire is opposite him and is about his 10 to 12 yards off of the line of scrimmage in his normal defensive position. The down judge is the hold official on this play.
Yeah.
So he's staying put. So I can't pick up either of the other two guys now.
The only thing I'm going to add about that referee where he is, Al,
yeah,
I definitely think he should be back further. And I'll tell you my opinion on that is because on a kicking play as a white hat, it's easier to step forward into the play than back up during the play,
yeah,
right? I'd rather be back deeper and take a step up and watch the ball come off the foot versus scrambling to get back. Because if there's a bad snap here and that ball goes over that kicker's head, now I'm way out of position, right? Yeah. So I really think as a referee, we should be lining up even with the kicker, yeah, on a scrimmage punt play.
There are some cases where it actually said, not cases, I guess, but some documentation in our manuals, it actually says maybe a step in front of them, right? Because the kicker's going to move up. But if you're too far up in front, not over, like you say, that if something bad happens with the back there with the snap,
yeah,
and now you've got further to go. If that ball gets blocked, there's nothing more frightening than a blocked punt or blocked kick coming directly at you as the referee. And if you're in front, there's a good chance that's where it's going to go.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right. You ready to roll this one?
Let's rock on. Okay, so there's an example, Ray. You were talking just a minute ago about if you slow it down right here.
Yeah.
You can see that the line of scrimmage guy in front of the white bench has come downfield about 10 or 15 yards and has slowed down and is now reversing field by going backward as the ball comes towards him.
Yeah.
See, he's starting to back up before the ball even starts to come this direction.
Yeah.
So now he's seen that there's going to be a return. He stops and he backs up. The official on this side, and because of the timing and whatnot of the video, you couldn't see the guys do their hand mechanics on who had ball, who was blocking. The back umpire on this side, the deep official on this side, the ball carrier is his, and he continues to go with him. The sideline official is backing up. The referee's coming across, and the same with the other two officials.
You know, from a, like, again, he did slingshot. He might have taken a little, he might have taken off backwards just a little bit too early. What I'm interested about our deep official, like, let's just go back to where, look how far in our deep official is on this kick.
Yeah.
He's probably a little too far in there. I'd like to see him out a little bit wider here.
Yeah.
His coverage coming up field with the kick returner was excellent coverage, but I personally think he's in too tight inside the numbers before the ball is kicked. What are your thoughts there?
I fully agree with what you're saying. I don't know how old that referee is or how long he's been officiating. And the reason I say that is that in our manuals previously, the older ones, the deep official was advised to take a position 8 yards outside of the returner on his side and 5 yards in advance. And it was only, I'm guessing, probably in the last 10 or 15 years that there's been more and more of a move to move those officials closer and closer to the sideline.
Right.
And then read and react. But yeah, for safety reasons, and he's probably quick enough, but safety reasons, even outside the numbers is better. The unfortunate thing with the video is we can't see where his initial position is.
Right.
So he may have snuck in, but if that's where he starts, I agree, he should be a little wider up.
The problem is if that kick comes down to this sideline,
Exactly.
you don't have anybody down along this sideline to cover what is happening here along this sideline, other than this line of scrimmage official 30 yards downfield, right?
Exactly.
So that's why the tendency is to want to get in tight to the play, but on kicking plays, start wide and work your way in.
Exactly.
Start wide and work your way in. Yeah. All right, we good to move on?
We are. Perfect.
All right. We are now moving on to the 6 crew kicking slides. And we're going to start on the left-hand slide again and let you talk to us about the 6-man mechanics.
Well, my plan had been is that I would take and circle the new official that we added, but I don't see that I've done that. So one of those 2 deep guys is a new back judge. Okay, so in the 5-man positioning, we had the referee umpire, 2 side guys, and the back umpire. In 6, we now have added the back judge, or these guys are both going to be deep officials. Now, I mentioned, Ray, before we started, that one of the issues that's going to come up with our videos is that if you had a really good chance to look at them closely, the alignment is not as it's on this chart.
Right.
And the reason being is that there was a change in the 6-person positioning 2019 about where people are lining up, and we didn't have any 6 crew officiating with the new mechanic.
Right.
So I've chosen some videos that I could lie to you about.
Right.
So anyhow, on the kickoff, the referee, same thing on the kicking line. At this time now, we bring the umpire up and he's responsible for the restraining zone. So we're both looking for things like offside kicks, illegal kickoffs, kicks out of bounds on our sidelines. And we're 10 yards apart. The 2 sideline guys, if you know it, have moved downfield quite a distance. They're about 15, 17, 18 yards down from the umpire or the center line. And then the outside deep guys are down and they line up with the returners. So if you have 2 different returners, like in this slide, and they're separate, like one's 5 yards in advance of the other. That's how the deep officials would line up too. So they sort of line up with them. You don't want the returner to get too far in front of you, but still be within close contact with them.
And,
Now,
and
oh,
Al,
sorry,
I just want to throw a point out here as I'm looking at this slide, because one of the biggest, I find the 6-man kickoff is one of the things that we as officials across Canada struggle with from consistency. Every region seems to run their 6-man kickoff and coverage in some ways different than the rest. And these charts that we're looking at right now, these are very clear. And not only that, but the 6-man coverage for a kickoff is excellent here. Is this standard right across the country now?
Now, if you would have gone to the Canadian Football Officials website,
Yeah.
they actually have the 6 crew mechanics on the website, if you're a member of the CFOA.
Yeah.
And that's where these came from.
Okay.
So these are up to date. These are the new mechanics for a 6 crew. Now, again, this is a normal setup. This isn't for any special plays or anything.
Right.
This is how they're identifying where the 6 officials should line up.
Okay. Excellent.
Yeah. So everybody across the country should be on the same page for normal kickoffs and normal punts.
Okay.
So on this situation, now that the ball's been kicked, if the ball is kicked to the referee's side of the field, the referee is going to stay on the sideline. If it's kicked to the far side of the field, the referee is going to slide in towards the middle of the field and proceed downfield, covering the play. Vice versa for the umpire. If the ball is kicked to the umpire side of the field, he stays on the sideline. And if it's kicked to the far side of the field, he would swing into the center of the field and referee down the field as he goes down. The downs judge and the line judge are both 25 to 30 yards from the kickoff line. And again, same idea. If the ball is kicked to your sideline, stay there. And you have the first threat to the returner. So you will not have the ball, but you will have that first group of defenders who are coming down to the returner. And that's the same with both sideline guys.
Right.
The back judge and the line judge line up wide, slightly in front of the receivers. I know some guys will line up right with them, and that's fine. I mean, if you're comfortable there and you can get, then you're fine. And again, ball on your side, stay wide. If it goes the other side, you can creep in a bit, but don't get caught way inside. You split the field. The responsibility also falls on the 2 deep guys for the ball that's kicked out of bounds. But you split the field. So if the ball's coming down in the center of the field, somebody's got to decide what's going to happen on your sideline and go from there. What else can I tell you about a 6-man as I look at it quickly?
I think you got it, Al.
Right.
It really is. I mean, it's communication. You've heard us talk about communication in other videos. Those 2 deep guys, they've got to be communicating ball blocking. Sideline, the 2 sideline officials, they're going to be watching the first wave, but they're going to be really watching that second wave as well as starting to move downfield as the returner's coming. One of the referees and the umpire is going to have the inside outlook.
Yeah.
But really, those sideline guys are responsible for pretty much to the goal line if that returner's coming, right? Yeah. So
exactly. Yeah.
Again, it's all about communication. And if the ball is kicked over here and the umpire stays on the sideline and that ball does come down along the sideline, at some point, this official is going to hand the ball off to here. And this official is going to hand the ball off the umpire who's going to take it home to the goal line. So again, that communication pre kick as well as during the play is really important.
The rule of thumb is if you have the ball until you can no longer cover it.
Right.
So it's gone into a crowd or it's gone well away from you and you can't keep up to the ball carrier any longer because of traffic, whatever reason, then it needs to be handed off to the next official. So like you
Right.
say, if it's coming up the sideline and it's getting away from the outside deep guy, he's got to release it to the sideline guy, same routine.
Yeah.
You don't release it too quickly. But again, this is pregame stuff that you discuss with the guys on your side of the field, how we're going to cover these things.
I just want to bring this up too, Al, because this is critical too, that if the deep guy has handed the ball off to the sideline guy, that doesn't mean he stops running. He's got to continue on with the play, because a lot of times on these kicking plays, the play ends by the ball carrier going out of bounds.
Yeah.
And on a kickoff, there's always a lot of action out of bounds. So these back officials still have a responsibility to follow the play and pick that stuff up from behind.
You don't stop officiating.
No, you got to keep moving.
Yeah.
All
On
right,
the punt situation, now we have a little bit of an oddity here with the 6-member crew, in that now on a punt, the umpire has now moved into the team A backfield, and he lines up almost parallel or in line with the referee. They're both in line with the kicker or in that general area. They both have line responsibility until the ball's snapped. Sorry, till the ball is snapped. And then the referee then becomes responsible for the kicker. The umpire becomes responsible for, silly stuff that's going on in and around them. The down judge and the line judge hold the line of scrimmage until the ball has crossed it, getting ready to read for little flare out passes and so on. And then our 2 deep guys, if you note now, we have an outside deep and an inside deep. So because the ball is being scrimmaged near the left hash mark, the outside deep official goes out to the sideline. The official who is on the other side slides in towards the hash mark. I may have been a little too far in that diagram because of where the returner is. Keeping in mind that many times the ball's probably going to be kicked to the narrow side of the field, but that inside deep guy doesn't want to get himself in trouble by being too close to the returner. And that will happen if if the ball is kicked to the returner behind the inside deep guy, and the inside deep guy is looking up at the ball.
Right.
Because that returner's going slide to get in best spot to catch the ball, and he might be right behind you. And the last thing you want to do is be a blocker.
There you go.
The inside deep guy in this situation is going to determine the flight of the ball and determine who has ball responsibility and who has blocking, and communicate that early. And as you said earlier, once the decision's made on who's got ball, who's got blocking, you live with it, you go with it, carry on. And whoever has ball has it until they lose contact with them. Basically, vice versa for the other guy if the ball goes out towards him. Just checking some of my notes here. Oh, so one other thing, going back to the line of scrimmage guys. If the kick is blocked, so how do we do this? So the referee is on the right-hand side of the field. If the ball is blocked and stays in the backfield, the down judge will slide back to help cover.
Right.
The line judge will stay on the line of scrimmage to make sure the ball
It's whoever's facing the referee.
Whoever's
facing the referee will be the one that goes back with the referee.
Exactly. And now we also have the umpire back there, but he's going to be tied up with other stuff in front of the kicker and where the ball's gone. Hopefully the ball hasn't landed right at his feet.
Right.
But that just gives us extra coverage on the ball bouncing around in that backfield.
The other thing we haven't talked about, Al, but this is a pre-game conversation you're going to have with your crew as a white hat, is short kicks. So what happens if that ball is kicked and it's coming down at the 30-yard line in this graphic, right? Who has responsibility of blowing that kick down?
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
In the rule book, and I don't have it here, so don't say that I'm quoting it incorrectly. In the rule book, it says if players do not have the opportunity to give yards,
right,
the ball should be blown dead. So if that ball's gone up in the air and it's either got caught up in the wind or the kicker's terrible or it's been deflected, and that ball's coming down, as you say, like the 30-yard lines, one of those side officials needs to be killing the play.
Right.
Now, in the 5-person crew, that ball will be coming down right on top of our umpire.
Right.
So the side official needs to make the determination quickly. As soon as the ball starts to come down, they realize it's coming down into a crowd who cannot give yards, or it's coming down on top of the referee, the umpire, kill the play. Kill the play.
And
90-some% of coaches will never argue that call.
They won't. And,
No.
and for the ones that do, you're going to have a happy umpire. So a happy umpire is much more important than the benches, right, Al?
No kidding. Yeah. Well, they also know that if it's coming down there, nobody's getting penalized.
Right, right.
So you're just killing the play. That's where the other team's going to get the ball.
Yeah. Okay. All right. You want to move on to the videos?
We can do that.
Let's go take a look at this first
Okay.
video here.
Just before you run this then, Ray.
Okay.
So I've got to get my line in this. On the left-hand side of the screen, way down there to the right of the red person, next person down, there you go. That's our referee.
Okay.
Now, as I said, this is the 2018 U16 Western Challenge, and it's the only 6-man crew that I could get that I had a good image. They were not using the mechanics I just showed you in the diagram. Their coverage is the same, but just where they line up is different.
Right.
So in this case, we have the referee on the kicking line. This sideline guy would be further downfield. He'd be deeper, another 15 yards or so. And then the deep official on the same sideline a little bit further down would take up his normal position in line with the 2 returners. We go to the other side of the field. The umpire would be on the restraining line,
Right.
on the line where the returners are. Then we back everybody up. And that's the way we would set up in 2021. This is 2018 and they hadn't caught up yet.
Yeah.
But the coverage by the guys is still the same. So if you want to roll it. And he might kick it sometime.
Delay game. It's going to be coming here right now.
Okay. So what we had ended up happening here was a play came out to the numbers. Receiver gets it, starts to break up field. The umpire who would be the first official downfield has come towards us and is now stopping and reversing field. The ball has now been picked up by the official in the middle. And like you said in the last slide with the 5, that deep official, the one closest to us in that sideline, he is still officiating.
Yeah.
What's neat about this, and I'm going to use this term now, and I know I'll talk about it later. If you look at the picture of those 3 officials on that sideline right now, each of them is between 12 and 15 yards away from each other. It's called a cushion.
Right.
And you want to make sure you keep that cushion so that you don't pressure another referee by getting too close and losing focus on what you're supposed to be doing. And it's also a safety thing, but it's best to keep a cushion so that you have a good look at the play as you go. And that's what's happening here. So the official furthest down the field is going to start backpedaling. The center official is going to start moving towards that guy, and the deep guy continues to come up. And then if you can take it right to the end, Ray, and show us where the play goes out of bounds, right there. So the first official, 34, has indicated the clock is killed. And like you said in the last set of slides, the play has gone dead in the enemy bench.
Right.
And if you take a look at 106, 136, the referee,
136.
and the other guy at the far end who is from Calgary, those guys are closing really hard so that there's a presence and they can get things separated and we can run the play as it should be.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Yeah. Though even though you've passed on that ball, you got to stay with that play because your services are going to be needed. And the other thing I loved about what these guys did on the sideline, It's a little thing, but it's really important. I'm going to take it right here. So both these sideline guys, they've come into the play a little bit, so they have an angle. And then as the play comes out, I call it bumping and check. It's you're bumping off the play. So you see them, see how they both back up to the sideline, let the play come out, and then they officiate downfield. I love seeing that in an official where they bump back off the play and then officiate downfield.
Let me add this to this video clip also. And if there ever happens to be a coach watching this, or somebody wants a coach to see this, note where the team in black is, Team Manitoba is, in relation to that big wide white line.
Yes. Good
There's
point,
no
Al.
players near the sideline. I think the nearest coach to the sideline before the play ends is the coach furthest down the field.
Yeah.
Okay, so the room's there, the referees can use that sideline to cover and officiate the play. The first time that you have players or whatever jump in front of you and something bad happens, it's not because you're out of position, it's because players and coaches are not where they're supposed to be.
That's right. And listen, you're in any football game, every football game is competitive. I've heard Al Gates tell me that before. And if you don't take charge of your sideline early as a sideline official, you're not going to have that space. And these guys obviously have done that, because look at the space they have on that.
Yeah. And there's no argument. I mean, the coaches now can see the play. The players aren't all in front of them. It's so much, it's such a better environment to work in when you have that room and the safety that goes with it.
I agree. All right, let's move on to our 6-man punt formation.
Yeah, so just before you roll this, you can see that our now again, qualifying this video compared to the correct positioning. So the referee in this video is a step or two behind the kicker. Our umpire should be on the other side of the field in 2021 and almost in line with where the referee is. So the referee, if I remember correctly from watching this, when the ball is kicked, is going to step up, can still officiate and protect the kicker as he's supposed to. Our line judge on the far side of the field has come in some to officiate the line. And unfortunately, that's the only 3 guys we can see in this setup right now.
Okay. When I had that onside guy on my back side, this is exactly the position I take as a referee. Yeah. All right, here we go. We'll roll the entire clip. And that's the end of the play.
Yeah. So let's go back to the start, because there's a couple of things we're going to talk about at the end there. Okay, so can you just move that along slowly, Ray?
Yeah.
Okay, so the referee and umpire hold their spot. The side officials backed out some. Now we're coming, ball's been kicked. Now, the official is in the correct, both officials are in the correct position when they first start off.
Yeah.
But the player now comes up to make the catch. The official on this sideline, our friend Mr. Bubar, has his hand up, which should tell anybody who knows anything about officiating, he has the ball.
Right.
He's made that decision. Now, the ball's going to take a bounce and then bounce back. So just carry it on a little bit further. And again, originally he's not in a bad spot. Still in the right spot. He still has the ball. The ball's now been picked up. And stop it right there. No, he went too far.
Yeah. This is a new presentation software, everybody.
Okay, right there is perfect.
Okay.
So we all know the 13, the official number 13 had his hand up, meaning he has the ball, which is going to be the player in white popping out just to the left of that little group of 3 players. So the question now becomes, who should have that block between 7 white and the player in black?
That's your official on the other side of the field.
That's the deep inside official on the far side of the field. Okay. Now, if we could back it up, and I'm not just being a nitpicker, if we back it up just a bit, and you take a look where that deep inside official is on the far side, a little bit further. No, probably going to be right at the very beginning.
There
Okay,
he is,
right there. Okay, so the deep inside official at the top of the screen is still way out by the numbers.
Right.
Okay, so he should be in a little bit further, especially with both returners on this side of the field.
Right.
So that block that we're talking about, because 13 has the ball, should be the responsibility of the other deep official.
Right.
And if he would have been in a bit further, might have been easier for him to pick up. And I'm saying this now, he may have made a call, but we don't see it in the video. He may have had an illegal block. I don't know. But if he's in a bit closer, it would make it easier for him to see.
Okay. Now, are we 100% sure this is from the NBFOA conference?
Yes. Yeah, that's Moncton and Fredericton.
Okay. That number 13 seemed to move a little bit quicker than Mr. Bubar. All right, let's move on to the next. So now we're on to seven-man
crew. Yeah.
7-man. So now we've introduced another player, Gates. We got our
So our new player now, our new guy wearing stripes is the field judge. And he's basically our center field official. And he's deep all the time. So he's the new official in these two slides. We still have our two other deep people, but they're now nicknamed the back judge and side judge. The other guys all keep the same names. So the referee in this situation is on the kicking line, and the umpire in the kickoff is on the restraining line, which is same as it was in 6. The two side guys now, the two side officials in the mechanics manual talks about them being 15 to 20 yards from the, I just want to get this right, in front of, the two side officials, where'd they go, are 15 to 20 yards from the line of kick. So the down judge on this side of the field is about 20 yards from the line of kick, 5, 10, 15, 20, about 25 yards. The line judge on the other side of the field is about 5 yards up. Now, the only reason they're in that position is at Canada Cup in 2019, 2018, whatever it was in Queens, we talked about bringing that official, sideline official, on the same side of the referee up about 5 yards because there's quite a gap between the two of them to cover.
Right.
So if you're not fleet of foot, that might be a move you might want to make. Is to sneak up a bit. If you're fleet of foot, take the normal position right directly across from the down judge. Sorry, Ray?
Yeah, the back officials, when I'm working deep in a 7-man system, I'm taking my initial line around the 20-yard line. I'm up around the 20-yard line. Again, my first step going back, I'm taking my first step back away from the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
But I do line up around the 20 on the 7-man kicking crew.
Yeah. The line in the manual is that they line up about 10 to 15 yards in front of the deepest returner.
Right.
So they're about 5 here. It's just I'm not good with depth perception on these little diagrams.
Yeah.
They're in front of the returners. The reason being is you got the field judge behind the returners.
Yeah. In lining up at the 20, very similar to what you were just saying, is it doesn't, from a pitcher point, it doesn't look like there's that much green space between the back judge and the line judge.
Exactly. Yeah.
Versus this pitcher here. Yeah.
And then our field judge deep at the back. So just to go through the responsibilities in this situation, on the kickoff, the down judge and the side judge, the down judge and the line judge, line judge, are both responsible for players 3 and 4.
Right.
So coming in from the outside, they're responsible for 3 and 4 on the kicking team. The side judge and down judge, the two deep side guys, are responsible for players 1 and 2 on the kicking team. So needless to say, being good math students that we are, that means that the next 2 players in are the responsibilities of the referee and umpire. Okay, so we now have all 6 players on each side of the field. Our responsibility has been divvied out. Once the ball's been kicked, again, similar to what we talked about in 6, for the referee and umpire, if it's kicked to your side, you stay in your sideline. If it's kicked to the other side, you move in towards the center of the field and work as a center field official. The down judge and side judge, they're responsible, as I said, responsible for the players. Don't pinch in, stay out on the sideline, and prepare to switch coverage right in front of the returner. So the returner catches the ball. Once he catches the ball, you then pick up the coverage in front of him, the blocking and the hitting that's going on in that area. The field judge is going to move aggressively to get himself or herself in a position to officiate the ball. They line up roughly in the center field or an area that gives them the best angle to officiate. And that involves the time clock, if that's involved, but also if the ball's kicked, you move aggressively to one side. You move aggressively to get yourself at an angle that you can referee it from. Then once the returner gets the ball, they're yours until you have to release them to another official.
Yeah.
And that's going to be the same with the field judge on the punt. He's going to move aggressively to get himself up in a position to officiate the returner. And then once the ball's caught, they're responsible for the ball until they can't cover it any further.
And you're right, Al, like right off the kick, you've got to start making decisions right off the kick. I'm going to go over to the 7-man kicking crew slide here.
Yeah.
And I remember a game at Mount A where we had this exact setup, and the ball was kicked and it came right down around in here.
Yeah.
And we had a back judge that was still upfield quite a bit. We had a field judge in the middle of the field, and we couldn't determine whether the ball crossed the goal line or whether it went out at the 1.
Yeah.
And that's why it's so important. Like we said, if anything's going to go wrong, it's going to happen on a kicking play. But that is not a situation you want to be in as a crew, not knowing where that ball went out of play. So you really got to hustle. Even though there's 7 officials on the field, you really have to hustle to make sure you have the right position to make the right call on that play.
And that's why the term move aggressively to referee.
Right.
Move aggressively, get yourself in the position to referee, especially with the ball still in flight.
Yes.
Yeah. So if we swing over to our punt, the referee and the umpire are in the backfield just like they were in 6-man. Our line of scrimmage guys are still in the line of scrimmage as they were. And our 2 deep side guys are both down in front of the returner. They're responsible for the ball in front of, they're responsible for the action in front of the returner, the blocking in particular, and we'll cover the play as it comes up the field. The 2 deep side guys have secondary no yards coverage. So primary no yards is going to be field judge because he has the ball. And some of our field judges will say, I've got the ball from sideline to sideline in the air. Now, other field judges will say, if that ball gets well outside the numbers, I'm giving it up and I'm going to give it up early. And as you said earlier, once you have designated who's got the ball, you can't change it because that means that somebody's not going to be covered. So if the ball comes way out to the sideline here, say it comes outside the numbers towards the side judge, and it's a deep kick, they're going back up some, and the field judge would have released the ball to them. So they now would end up having to have no yards coverage, and the field judge would be on a blocking, responsible for blocking in that situation. Just quick note, blocking tactics, try to keep.
I just got to make a point here too with the field judge and the 7-man. It's a little bit easier to make that determination right off the bat because the field judge is usually lined up with the ball, so right down the center of the line. So they have a really good view of where that ball is going off the kicker's foot.
Yeah.
So
And living in the Maritimes, we generally will have wind.
Yes.
And that will come into play also. Again, we talked about in the six official crew, once the ball has started its return in either the kickoff or the punt, we all try to keep our cushion, like a 15 to 20 yard cushion between each other. I'm sorry, 10 to 15 yard cushion between each other as we move up the field. And it's just like a conveyor belt as we move along to officiate the play.
Yeah. All right, let's go look at a couple. Let's go take a look at some film here. So here's
Okay.
our first play. It's at Mount A.
It is. So what we have on the far side of the field in the first red dot is the referee. Okay. On this side of the field, on the center line, on this side is our umpire. And then if we go across to the other side is our line of scrimmage guy on that side of the field. And his partner would be on this side of the field. And because of the alignment right now, would be maybe 5 yards deeper. And then we have our deep guys down further and so on.
All right, you ready?
We're ready. Okay, so all the actions in there around the center of the field judge has indicated he's got the ball, he's coming up. He doesn't have to be in the ball carrier's hip pocket.
No.
If he is, he's likely to get hurt. The side guy has moved up. The line of scrimmage official now is in front of the front stick. And as the ball starts to come to an end, play comes to an end, officials now start to converge on where the ball is dead. And the field judge has stepped up and will give his first down. If you look in the center of the field, you see the referee coming up the center of the field. So the ball's been kicked out to this sideline. He has come in his center field responsibility. And we have the play covered.
It's covered. You got 1, 2, 3, 4 officials coming in on this.
Coming in on the play. Yeah.
All right, let's go over to our punt. So this is the 7-man punt.
Yeah. So in this case, we had the referee and umpire lined up roughly with the kicker. Our line of scrimmage guys, this 87 guy out here in the sideline, I think some of us might know him, have the line of scrimmage. On the far sideline, if you look down on about the 20-yard line, you'll see one of our deep side guys. So we can wheel on.
Okay.
And we come to an end right at the sideline. So the sideline official on this side, the line of scrimmage official on this side has come down. Play is coming to an end near players, is going to come in and help out. The field judge, you can see as he moves out further towards her, you'll see his hand come up and he starts to indicate the time's in, which means he still has the ball.
Yeah.
Okay, so he's got the ball, even though it's way out there to the sideline. And then the player will step out of bounds and the official on that sideline will kill the play. Now where it's that far out.
When I first watched the first play, I kept saying, where's the other back official? But he really has himself positioned out of bounds there.
Yeah.
Right? So that he has a good view of what's happening to him in front.
Yeah, use your sidelines as much as you can.
Yeah. Yeah, that was good play.
Yeah.
That's our videos for tonight, Al.
Beauty. That's good.
So that is the kicking. And again, we'd love to hear your comments, your feedback. Let us know any questions you have. Again, it's really important to learn all the mechanics for the 5-man, 6-man, and 7, because at some point you will be working one of these mechanics.
Focus on the 5 and 6. Like we had good news yesterday or today, I guess it was, from the 4 Atlantic provinces that our bubble might open. I've heard some good news that we're looking at having at least a New Brunswick division of the MFL with the start date if everything continues to go as it is, the 1st of May. And for some of those games, we'll be working 6-man crews. So the Canadian football officials website at cfoaref.com, I hope it is, as opposed to CA. Or if you go to the Facebook and the Canadian Football Officials Association, there's all kinds of really useful stuff in there. There was a whole series of video presentations that were done last year on rules, interpretations, passing plays, and so on that are there. They're PowerPoint. They're great for rules review, as well as the CFOA in conjunction with the CFL is now putting together a series of talk shows, if you want to call them that. The first one was with Tom Valesi, the CFL referee, which are great ones, some really neat stories that Tom gives. Probably the one thing that there are many things I pulled up, but one thing that really struck home is that no matter how many guys you have in your crew, whether it's 4, 5, 6, 7, or if you're south of the border, 8-man crew, 8-person crews, the referee is always the face of the crew. And that referee is always the person that's going to be pointed at because, well, they may call the big bucks, haha. But it's part of the aspect, and it's a face that people make an attachment to. Tom's talk is really entertaining, and there's a whole series of other ones that are coming up down the pipeline. Which something we talked about, Ray, and I'll probably jump the gun on you in this one about, most of us, if I should say that, all of us in the NNBFOA have not been on the field for more than a year. As I said to you before the game, the last tackle game I was on the field with, I was at Bishop's University in Quebec back in November of 2019, I guess it was. And there are some people that it's even been longer than that since they've been on the field. And we all have, I don't want to use the word fear, but we all have an uneasy feeling about on May 1st, if I'm refereeing a game, what am I going to screw up? What am I going to miss, and so on? It's important to keep in mind that it's, using your line, it's like riding a bike. It's going to take a little bit of time to get the cobwebs out. There's lots of things you can do beforehand, like reviewing your rule book, and it's such a great read. Or the New Brunswick High School has a huddle that we all have access to. Go on and watch some plays. We've added stuff here. Just take the opportunity to watch the game in live speed, and you'll be surprised how quickly it will come back to you. So I know that it's a concern. I have a concern. As I told you, Ray, I refereed a basketball game last week, and for the first half, it was a lot of cobwebs there. And that's exactly what it will be like getting on the football field, hopefully in May.
Listen, it's not just going to be us, Al. It's going to be a challenge for coaches, players, timer, your downs box. You're going to have, or the stick crew, you're going to have to spend a lot of time with your stick crew, getting ready, getting going. Everybody is going to come out of the gate a little rusty. But, how much have we talked about communication in these videos so far, Al? Having a solid pregame meeting, having that communication during the game, that's going to make us all better. But I want to throw something out before even that. And that is, look, if there's something, now that Al and I've gone through, we've talked about kicking, we've talked about passing, we've talked about running, we've broken down the 5, 6, 7 crew mechanics. If there's something you want us to talk about, let us know. It's just a matter of time before we're going to have our NBFO exams, the CFOA exams. Back in 2019, or to start 2020, we actually got a group of us together and we were doing the test together on a Zoom call. I welcome that. If you guys want to get together and let's go through chapter 1 of the rule book and do it in sections. Let's do it. Let's set a time and do those things so that when we do get onto the field, we all feel a little bit more comfortable to get things started.
Well, it's funny, like since all this foolishness happened, and I think I said it to you, I've been really busy at football, with football,
Right.
with working with the National Rules Committee and now with some editing stuff going on. So I have a pretty good grasp of one of the rules in the rule book. I know there's others now that I have to go through and read again, but it's all going to be it's going to be like if you're a sprinter and you haven't sprinted for a long time, your first few steps out of the block are going to be a little tentative, and we're all going to feel that way.
Yeah.
These guys may have played flag, but none of these guys have played tackle and it's a whole new thing about getting back on the pony again.
It's been a long time since that running back has taken a pop coming through the line of scrimmage, right? So
exactly,
it's going to be a tough adjustment for everybody at the field that day. So not to say that should relieve your stress, but if there's something that's causing you stress, let's talk about it so that we can help address that heading into a possible season.
Keep in mind that there are two events coming up that I'll do some advertising for. On the 27th of this month, Honix is having their online clinic that you can access through your payment to Honix, and I'm sure that Herm and the crew will put on a great show. The CFOA is putting on their virtual AGM over 4 or 5 weekends, which is free for members. They're also offering a level 1 online. So if you know anybody who's interested in taking officiating, go onto the website, find out how you can get somebody into the level 1 theory through the CFOA. And there's a whole series of these things that are going on that, it tweaks your mind about thinking about football and how things happen.
Listen, there's some, obviously being cooped up and not being on the field and being out in public, but there's some good things that have come out of COVID and the training features that we have now here using Zoom, Al, and like that time we all got together and we're working on our exams in a group and breaking down the question. I mean, the great thing is the question may be pretty black and white question, but by the time we rip that question apart and tackle it down, we've tackled chapter 5 of the rule book. So I love that stuff too, and I look forward to that as we get ready for the season.
Yeah, no, all good.
All right. Well, thanks again, Al, for joining.
Thank you, Ray.
That is your kicking demo for tonight, and we look forward to your comments and feedback, and we'll make our adjustments on what we're going to do our next video all about.
Get good luck getting back on that couch.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to be happening anytime soon.
Cheers.
Thanks.